that statement, when you get another chance, make it count. And so I'm like, here I am. I don't know what this does. I don't know where it takes me, but it's healing me and it's helping other people. I've met people who really gone through some things.
Yeah.
And it's like you look at them, your guy, wallow.
Oh yeah.
Because the first time I ever heard of him, my son mentioned him to me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who? And he was like real. And I was like, oh, that's not me. And
Yeah.
then I stopped looking and just listening.
Yeah.
And he said to me one day, said to me, you see, what are you doing? Laying in your bed? Don't nobody owe you nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody owes you. Get up and make it happen. I did time, came out, and I turned it around. And
Yeah.
so when he tells those messages, nobody owes me anything. And whatever happens, it happens. But create your destiny, put the work in. And for me, I sometimes feel guilty when I do this because it's not like the thoughts don't still come. They do.
Yeah.
And then I go through well, you can't leave now because you put this out there, you put this form out there, you're a hypocrite. So it holds me to the fire. But with that young age and your brother going away and the fire, and now here you are, Black Thought, from
Yeah.
movies and acting, and when emotions hit you, when those curveballs come to you, and it redirects you from where you really want to go, how do you deal with your emotions? Where do you go?
You know, it's even though I don't have to sort of internalize all those feelings because they're, well, I guess I have so many outlets the same way you sort of dive deeper into your job. I
Mhm.
have so many different outlets that I'm able to immerse myself in sort of a new medium. And, music at this point is something that I do that, it's not even second nature. It's nature,
Mhm.
right? So it's not that I guess I am a little bit jaded. I've done, when you've done any job for 35, 37 years, it's like, you sort of interested in anything that's not that job. So that's why all the other stuff that I do, that's why I do it. And that's why all that stuff is, resonates with me in the way that it does. It's it presents a new challenge for me to sort of rise to, and it's it all serves as a distraction, something that I could just
Mhm.
focus on, laser focus on, trying to be as good at as good an actor or a composer, arranger, or as good a public speaker or a comedian or whatever it is that I'm doing.
Mhm.
um, if I could, even be half as good at that as I am, as an MC,
Mhm.
then I feel like I'm on my way. At the end of the day, if what it is that you're doing can help one person, even if that one person is you,
Mhm.
then that makes it, well worth. It's worth all the effort. You know what I'm saying? If what you're doing, if whatever outlet you're using, whatever medium you're creating
Mhm.
in, is if you're able to, if you're able to go through uh, any level of self transformation,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Then I feel like that makes it all worthwhile. I was reading something, just a quote from Maya Angelou that actually used to start a song a few days ago. And it just this is something that I read a little while ago, and I haven't been able to forget it. It's almost like a new philosophy has revealed itself to me,
Mhm.
and it's quite simple. She said, she said people will forget what you said,
I know
people
it.
will forget what you did, but people will always remember the way
You made
you
them
made
feel.
them feel,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know, that just really stuck with me. I feel like that's our true currency.
Mhm.
You know, it's the way we make people feel, and if you're able to make people feel better, to look at themselves differently, to see the world differently, then I feel like I think that's what all of our true that's humanity at its at you know that's the
If we
essence
could
of
all
it,
get
is
there.
humanity. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's what I do, and I try and just live each day just a little bit better than
Hmm.
I did the day before. Nobody's perfect, and we've all said and done all sorts of things, and I
Hmm.
think about the people who are going to remember that, the people
Hmm.
whose feelings I have hurt, or whose pride I may have hurt, or whose, people who feel like I've done them a disservice in any way, shape, or form. And I just take it one day at a time and try and, what I'm saying, not go back down that path.
To
You
not
know,
repeat that.
yeah, yeah. You try not to try your best not to repeat that behavior. And that's sort of where I'm at with it. But
I
because we one thing that we sort of suppress and that we are very reluctant to admit to is that the majority of us are suffering from post traumatic stress. What that trauma is.
Hmm.
The trauma ranges. What I'm saying, from one extreme to the other. But
Right.
you know, the fact that PTSD is a real thing, and it's not something that only folks who have served in the military deal with.
That's the only time we
Um,
heard it. Right.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, you survived the '80s in a neighborhood that was crack infested.
Hmm.
That's PTSD for that ass too. So I think about all that sort of stuff, and yeah, it's funny you bring Wallow up. I think he's a prime example of just that second chance. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? He's someone who I've known him since he was a young person. You know what I'm saying? You got your son Shiloh. I've
Hmm.
known Wallow since he was Shiloh's age. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
wow.
Or younger, like when he
Hmm.
was a kid. And I've sort of watched him. I've watched his evolution. You know what I mean? Like a person who works, one of the guys who works with the Roots named Dice, my longtime collaborator and a producer and a writer and an
Hmm.
MC. He's like an extended member of the Roots. He's sort of like my young boy. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
One of my proteges, or someone who looks up to me. And Wallow always looked up to him. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I remember Wallow was always just super impressed. Like, this is back when he was a stick up kid.
Okay.
He would come around and he would see my friend's passport on the table, where I had taken Dice out on the road, and
Hmm.
all the different stamps from this country and that country, and all the visas that you would see stamped in the passport.
Hmm.
And that was a life-changing moment for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, just that period in time, being able to see a passport that had traveled the world, that gave him a different, it gave him insight into the world beyond the block, so to speak.
And so many
And
in our community,
yeah,
so many
absolutely.
things that we do every day and we may
Absolutely.
take for granted. There's people who haven't left the block.
Yeah, the block, like the
And
stoop. Yeah,
right. So and as far as their world goes is their cell phone
yeah,
and living through what they see on there as real. And
yeah,
and,
man.
and like you said, and you brought up Shiloh. So a lot of times we see people in social media on the big screen doing different things. So from hip hop, I know you from hip hop, and things I know that you don't have to do, where you extend yourself to say, let me reach back.
Yeah,
Totally change the perception of who you are, which is weird because you don't know the person. So that perception is a built up perception that you have inside from what you've seen or what you think that person is.
yeah.
From when you played Roland, when you play what's the show, Yelling to the Sky,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. So when you play that role, I'm like, wow, he's really helping out. So in my mind, you was that dude, you know. And then to meeting you and like, he's pretty cool, but it's still the perception that I have of what I think, not what I know.
yeah,
And then, yo, let me scoop the little guy up, let me get in his ear, and I'm like, yo, that's real. And nothing that I've seen or read about is comes across as braggadocious. Look what I did. Look what I'm doing, you know? And so it's humbling, but it's so appreciated. And so many people can learn from that. One of the things that my goal is, as far as with mental health to change, Our community has to change, how we deal with it, how we tell our kids, come on, talk to me. I don't care what the worst thing you think you could tell me, we've got to let them know we got your back.
Yeah.
And then outside of having their back, not going along with the bullshit, so to speak, but getting them on the right path or directing them to someone that can help them.
Yeah.
That's our part, right?
Yeah.
But the medical field has to do better. And I'm speaking from a person who's been in the institution, on the mental wards, where they're not treating you, they're medicating you.
Yeah. It's a lot of that boils down to just the dynamic, like their relationship, with big pharma and these pharmaceutical companies. They partner up with these medical groups, and it's just about really it's an extended version of testing, because they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how all these different medications are going to affect folks in the long run. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like extended studies, so to speak. And I lean more towards the the natural
Yeah.
solution. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? I feel like for anything that you could take a prescription for, there is something in the natural world that you could probably also take that would help. I mean, it might not be the same sort of instant gratification, and it
Right.
might be something that you have to stick with for a little bit longer, a little, more detailed regimen. You might have to take a bunch of stuff, like if you're doing the homeopathic or practicing, like Eastern medicine or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. But I feel like for anything that you could get a prescription for, there's the
The
opposite
counterpart
flip
to it,
side. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
The counterpart to it.
So
When I say the institutions in the medical field, everything is textbook. So the irony is, I went to Virginia State University. I was a
yeah,
psych major, you know? So now when I'm coming in to be treated, I'm looking at how you're talking to me.
yeah,
And you're doing that textbook, that calming tone. I don't relate well to that. I need you to just talk to me.
yeah,
So now instantly, I'm here go the sister girl. I got an attitude because you're coming at me in a way that doesn't. And like I tell people, you got to keep trying till you make that connection, right?
yeah,
But I feel the institutions, it can't just be textbook. It can't be big pharma. You have to make a connection. You have to talk to the people who suffer,
yeah,
but it has to come from to keep trying. I have a team. I have my husband. I have my counselor. And I've made my kids aware of what I suffer with because I never want them to think I've never heard of this before. And now they're going through these emotions and not know how to deal. So now they're aware of it, and I don't wear it with shame. I do have guilt associated with it,
mm,
but the medical field is who I would love to reach, and that's where I want to go eventually, where we just have a conversation. But I want to start with my community, and a lot of times people's like, no, I can't associate my name with that because I'm a brand. No, I'm doing this right now. I can't, nobody wants to talk about it. And how do you heal something and fix something if we're not talking about it? We're only talking behind closed doors,
yeah. That's It's one of those things. It really is.
you know? So
Yeah,
if you, let me ask you this, and it's just throwing caution to the wind. If someone you knew felt depressed, suicidal, you saw emotions of that, and they leaned on you, like, yo, I can't get this out. I don't know what to do you, like, people don't know what to do. What's a word of advice you would give someone?